This is Mike L with the Comic Book Syndicate. We're at the Motor City Comic Con with Bob Layton. Bob, how's your day going today?
It's fine. It's fine.
It's got better.
I think your camera woman's not having a good time, though.
She's having a great time back there.
Okay, good.
Let's talk about this. For the people that don't know, where does your love for comic books come from? What first got you into it?
I learned to read from them before I started school. I wound up skipping a grade as a result of that. I actually graduated high school when I was 17, which was tough because it was hard to get a job.
Still is, right?
No, but I was impressed with the power of the medium, that it drove me to want to learn how to read, and just the combination of literature and visual.
Sure.
It's a unique art form. Only jazz and comic books are indigenous to North America.
That's a great point. I agree. Now, do you think that comics, and I think this, but sometimes people treat them as like a gateway to reading novels. Do you think we should also encourage people to just read comics? Or not just read comics in place of it, but read them as well?
I think you should read everything. Because I as a kid, I love comic books, but I read Edgar Rice Burroughs, I read Arthur C. Clarke, I read technical journals. I used to masturbate to Scientific American, okay? It's like, seriously, I have one right here in my bag. I read everything, just comics. You know what's going to happen if you just read comics? You're not going to grow much as a human being because it's just two-dimensional representations of real life. You have to read about real life and you have to experience real life. Sometimes you got to stop reading and go out and do things. I'm talking about good stories come from life itself.
Sure.
And comics are only a two-dimensional representation, either in artistic form or in literary form, of somebody else's idea of life.
Okay.
And my mentor early on, I remember I was reading a comic book on the train going into New York to work up at Continuity Studios.
Sure.
And he took the comic out of my hand and he says, "What's your intention?" I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Is this going to be your hobby or your job?" Because he goes, "If you're going to be good at it, and I'm going to invest time in you, it can't be both. You won't be successful if it's both."
Sure.
And speaking of the guy whose career spanned 40 years in comics and publishing and film and television, he was right.
Was that Neil Adams?
Yeah, well, no, it wasn't Neil Adams. It was his partner, Dick Giordano.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. You're obviously probably most associated with Iron Man. Did you grow up as an Iron Man fan, or kind of just happened by accident that you worked on it for so long?
I grew up as a person who hated Iron Man. I just thought it was really the worst Marvel comic ever made.
Okay.
And I thought I could do it better, I used to make my own Iron Man comics. The story, the Camelot Story, was something I created when I was 11 years old. I made my own little Iron Man comic book because I was always a huge fan of King Arthur and Knights of the Round Table, and it never looked like armor, and it was, they never really, it wasn't about Tony Stark. It was always about Iron Man. Tony Stark was just an excuse. And to me, Tony Stark's the cool part about the series, He's the guy with all the money, all the girls, all the toys, and he's always the smartest man in the room. And that's an attainable goal for a young man, And
like
so,
Batman, right?
What?
It's similar to Batman.
No, not at all. See, do you actually read comics?
I've read one or two.
Okay, because Batman is so totally different, because Bruce Wayne is a facade,
Okay.
Bruce Wayne has all this stuff, but it's exactly what's wrong with Tony Stark. They did the same thing with him. Batman is who he really is.
Sure.
He uses the facade of Bruce Wayne to do stuff. But Tony Stark is Tony Stark.
Yes.
Iron Man is just another suit that he puts on. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Bruce Wayne he forwent his heritage to be the Batman. So they're entirely different.
Now I see your point. Okay. So, and finally, what are your feelings that Iron Man has gone from being sort of a middle-range Marvel character to being one of the most popular superheroes in the world?
It wasn't a middle range. When I already got the book because they were going to cancel it.
Okay, it was a lower range.
Yes. To the fact that it's an international icon, well, I love it now because I get to travel all over the world doing this stuff, It's like I'm heading to London next week and then to Hanover, Germany. Last year I was in Spain, I was in Sweden, Australia. It's an international phenomenon. I met at the UN. I met a contingency from China. They're all Iron Man guys. They love Iron Man over there, you know. And so, yeah, it's an amazing ride for me the last 40 years. You know, going from obscurity to now, you know, being the father or grandfather or stepfather of a international cultural phenomenon.
So writer, artist, and inker of Iron Man. You've done all three, right?
Yes.
Excellent. So what do we have now in the future from Bob Layton?
Well, I've been working in the movie business for the last 8 years. I've been out in LA. I just moved back to Florida because that's where I was before I went out to work on the Iron Man movies. And but I continue to do work for, you know, various people out there because I most of it I do from home.
Sure.
But, you know, it's behind the scenes, so it's not as exciting as, you know, the next new comic book or whatever, but it pays a lot better. You know?
I hear, yeah.
Yeah. Hollywood they pay stupid money out there. You know, it's like.
So, final question: is there one story that you want to be remembered for as your finest achievement? Would you say in your whole career?
Well, it's hard for me to say because I'm not done yet. I know you're ready to retire me, but
yeah.
it's not. You know, I still got a lot of stories in me, but I'm switching venues to film and television.
Okay.
But I mean, I know what you guys voted. I mean, a couple years ago, Comic Book Resources did a reader poll, and they voted Demon in a Bottle on the top 20 stories of all time,
Sure.
of all comics ever, which is a real honor. I mean, that's a humbling honor, and it's the only comic book story that civilians know by its title.
Sure.
You know,
That's a good point.
it's like that, and that to me that's high praise.
Are we ever going to see the Demon in the Bottle story brought to screen? Do you
No.
think?
No,
It's just too.
it's
adult?
too heavy. Unless Marvel does Phase 6, and Phase 6 is where everybody dies.
Okay.
You know, and it's all depressing. And it's like Frank Miller directs everything. You know, unless they do that, yeah, it's not going to happen probably. I talked to Favreau and Downey about it. Downey would love to do it, but Favreau says it's just not what Marvel's movies are. They really are more upbeat.
Sure.
You know, and for the most part they have been.
All right, so I think that's it for today. So it was an honor to finally meet you. I've been a fan of your work for years, so
Thank you.
It was great. Thanks a lot. So legendary creator, stepfather of Iron Man, Bob Layton. Thanks a lot.
I like that.
There you go. Is there anything that's off limits before we start?
You mean like talking about my dick or something?
I was just about to say.